Hello everyone, this is Shefali Arora, a student of first SEM from Aerospace Engineering Department in RV College of Engineering. In this video, we will talk about the harmful effects of hexavalent chromium on animals. I divided the portion into 5 subtopics, that is what is hexavalent chromium, causes of exposure to hexavalent chromium, effect of hexavalent chromium on animals, in which we will talk about chromium toxicity to fish and effect of chromium on male adult rats. Further, we will discuss how can it be prevented and what we conclude from it. So let us know what is hexavalent chromium. Pollution by heavy metals has become a serious environmental and public health hazard because the concentrations released into the environment from industrial processes often exceed permissible levels. Chromium is one of the most common pollutants in the environment. Hexavalent chromium is chromium in the +6 oxidation state found in any chemical molecule. It is generally created through a manufacturing process. Chromium is a heavy metal that belongs to the periodic table subgroup. It is mostly found as a trivalent in nature, although the hexavalent form has also been discovered. Chromium 6 is a powerful oxidant that is hazardous to people and animals alike. Following increased exposure of humans and animals to various forms of chromium, interest in the hazardous consequences of the metal has grown. Chromic 6 acid and its derivative have a wide range of industrial uses, but their toxicity and unfavorable side effects make them a considerable environmental risk. Hexavalent chromium is toxicologically, carcinogenically, and mutagenically dangerous. That is, it has the ability to cause cancer and to cause a permanent change in an organism's genes. The recommended or proposed safe and appropriate chromium intake for a human adult is 50 to 200 micrograms, while for animals it is 300 micrograms. Let us further talk about causes of exposure to hexavalent chromium. Animals can be exposed to hexavalent chromium in many ways. First of them is that hexavalent chromium can enter the body through mouth in form of food or water, which gets into bloodstream through intestinal absorption. Secondly, intravenous injection of chromium, that is injecting directly into the bloodstream. And thirdly, by inhaling the chromium released by chromium industries affecting the respiratory system or trachea. Repeated or prolonged exposure can damage the mucous membranes of the nasal passages and result in ulcers. Now let us see how hexavalent chromium affects the animals. Hexavalent chromium compounds can harm the respiratory system and gastrointestinal tract as well as induce skin changes, be carcinogenic, mutagenic, embryotoxic, and teratogenic, and jeopardize baby development. On mammalian cell cultures and in rats in vivo, hexavalent chromium compounds caused cytotoxicity and clastogenic activity, as well as chromosomal abnormalities and sister chromatid swaps. The respiratory tract in humans is a major target of inhalation exposure to chromium compounds. Chromate sensitive workers acutely exposed to chromium 6 compounds may develop asthma and other signs of respiratory distress. Three different pathways have been postulated to explain chromium 6 toxicity. First, reactive oxidant species produced during the reduction of chromium 6 to chromium 3 have a direct harmful impact. Second, at intermediate oxidation levels, chromium binds to DNA 5 and 6. Third, crosslinks are formed when chromium DNA adducts develop, causing DNA function to be disrupted. Chromium 6 poisoning poses a serious hazard to aquatic life in aquatic environments. Both biotic and abiotic variables influence chromium's aquatic toxicity. The kind of species, age, and developmental stage are all biotic variables, whereas abiotic parameters include temperature, chromium concentration, chromium oxidation state, pH, alkalinity, salinity, and hardness of water. Because of human activities like mining, improper waste disposal, and fuel combustion, our environment is getting to be more and more contaminated with toxic heavy metals. The aquatic environment receives waste and might be the ultimate depository for these anthropogenically remobilized heavy metals. When a fish is first exposed to chromium, it exhibits a variety of behavioral changes, including a suspension of eating activity, irregular swimming, and an accelerated operculum. It may cause structural abnormalities in the gill epithelium, such as hypertrophy and paraplegia, and damage the body's immune system. The table given shows sensitivity of fish towards chromium during the given exposure period. A review of the acute toxicity of chromium to fish reveals that the differences in the values between fish species can be attributed to the complicated metal-induced changes in the physiology and survival of aquatic organisms under metallic stress. Such changes differ from metal to metal, from species to species, and from one experimental condition to another. The exact cause of death due to heavy metal poisoning are multiple and depend on time concentration combinations. So, this table summarizes the acute effects of chromium to freshwater fish. Hexavalent chromium is a pollutant found in the environment that has been linked to reproductive abnormalities in male rats. In the present study, we examined the effect of hexavalent chromium on the male reproductive function of rats. Male Wistar rats received a daily intraperitoneal injection of potassium dichromate for 15 consecutive days. A decrease in testis weight and an increase in seminal vesicles and prostate vase were demonstrated after chromium treatment. Moreover, a dose-dependent increase in blood and testis chromium levels, as well as an increase in FSH and a decrease in LH and testosterone serum levels, were detected in treated rats. Adult male rats exposed to chromium for 15 days developed reproductive damage according to our findings. The table given shows the variation in values of testis, seminal vesicles, and prostate for control rats, HT rats, and LD rats respectively. Now let us move on to the part where we will know how the exposure to hexavalent chromium can be prevented. Prevention can be done in three ways. First, determine if hexavalent chromium is present in your environment, such as water, air, and soil, and at what amounts, especially if you reside near a place where chromium compounds are disposed of or created with the help of your public health officials. Second, children should not play in soils near unmanaged hazardous waste sites where chromium may have been dumped. And third, limit your exposure to hexavalent chromium compounds at work. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration created a hexavalent chromium standard to safeguard workers from chromium-related illnesses such as lung cancer, skin ulcers, and dermatitis. Let us see what we concluded from this whole presentation. Despite countless research and clinical trials on humans and animals, the processes behind chromium's action and toxicity, as well as the variables that determine chromium supplement effectiveness, remain unknown. Chromium has been one of the most contentious transition metals that is necessary for human health in recent years. Supplemental chromium, on the other hand, might cause health hazards owing to the unclear results of research exploring the toxicity of trivalent chromium and its interactions with other elements, and should be used with extreme caution. Continuous exposure to chromium alters enzyme activity in the kidney, brain, and liver, including succinate dehydrogenase, pyruvate dehydrogenase, and lactate dehydrogenase. Thank you.